we are
Show
going
me.
down the Reddit rabbit hole
Ooh,
today.
Crystal, you
Um,
are up first. I'm excited to see
I
what the hell
am.
you got for me.
Okay, so I have a story for you. I have a today I fucked up story. This is one of my favorite stories.
Mm, okay.
I read this. It's part of the best of Reddit
Mm,
section. And I'm so excited to share with you guys. So if anybody's really big on Reddit and you've gone through things like this, like the best of Reddit and stuff like that, you've probably read this one. But for those of you who haven't, it's a real treat. It's so funny. I'm gonna try and get through this without laughing too much. But I will say, I will preface this, guys. One of the things that we found while doing our practice episode is that while we have read our own stories, the other
Mm,
person generally doesn't know what the
mhm.
story is about. And with that being said, while I have read this story, it has been a while since I've read this story. So
Yeah.
there's a very good chance that it's going to seem like I don't know how to read because people and their
Yeah.
punctuation and their
You know
grammar.
what? And I'm glad you said that because let's make this clear right now because I don't want y'all in the comments. I don't want y'all in my DMs. I don't want y'all on y'all Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. I don't know if TikTok got stories because I don't have TikTok. Y'all stories talking about the T and Chris's podcast can't read. We can read.
They stutter.
They just can't write. Okay, they don't use punctuation, and you know what? I don't have the time to rewrite what the hell they wrote. So whatever they wrote is what I'm finna read to y'all. And if it don't have
Exactly.
punctuation, I'm gonna read it like it don't have punctuation. So
Exactly.
y'all better get the gist and keep it pushing. Because
Okay.
I bet if I put a fifth grade book in front of y'all and tell y'all, you know what, we ain't gonna do all that. Sorry.
Okay. So this is today I fucked up by throwing my steak out a window. This is a good one. And it has an update
Mm-hmm.
too. So there's or not I wouldn't say an update, but there's a second part to it. So
Mm-hmm.
anyways, last night my wife's boss from her brand new job invited us over for dinner. On the drive over, my wife reiterated many times to me just how important it was to make a good impression. I scuffed and arrogantly informed my silly wife that I always make good impressions. My wife's boss is a single lady in her 50s, so it was just the three of us. We chit-chatted over
I
drinks and
bet it
salads.
was.
we chit we chit-chatted over drinks and salads and seemed to really be hitting it off. She laughed at my well-timed, perfectly appropriate jokes, and my wife
I bet
seemed
she
pleased.
did.
Soon, she brought out the main course, a nice, big, juicy steak for each of us. As I began to cut into my steak, I was discouraged to discover how undercooked this steak was. Now, I've had my fair share of rare steak. I prefer medium, but I can handle rare. This was several minutes on a hot grill short of rare. I probably could have resuscitated the cow had I tried.
Not
Instead, I stabbed
not resuscitate gal on the table, sir.
and I'm the same way. I do not like my steak that rare. Anyways, I sat there fidgeting with my knife and fork, worrying about how I was going to get away with not eating this steak.
You got to take one for the team, player. You got to choke it down.
Oh. Where was okay? Claim veganism? No. I'd already feigned great enthusiasm upon seeing the steak. Just then, our hostess excused herself to the kitchen to take care of some dessert preparations. As I looked across the fancy dining room table at the open window of this third story apartment, a cartoon light bulb appeared over my head.
Sir, stop. Just stop right now. Just stop right now. You are already ahead. You are in a good position to have a successful evening. Stop right now.
He did not stop right now.
And you know what?
I knew I had to be decisive, realizing that she could return at any moment. I committed. I grabbed the steak with my hand, gently shook off the juice, and executed a perfect throw right through the center of the open window. Here's the big time FU. The window wasn't open. It was the
You
cleanest.
and that's what
It
your ass get. That's what your ass
it,
get. That's what you get.
it, it was the cleanest freaking window you've ever seen in your life. That
Mm-mm.
is until my mostly raw slab of steak slammed up against it and slowly slid down, leaving a trail of bloody juice in
Yep.
its wake.
I bet it did. I bet it did. The biggest mess you've ever seen in your life.
My wife, whose steak was a nice medium rare and was unaware of my predicament, turned, jaw dropped, and stared at me like I was an alien from another planet.
When I talk about divorce. How could you ever? You know what? I'm gonna let you finish.
Let
I'm
me
gonna let
finish.
you
Okay.
finish.
This look then slowly morphed into more of the there is no place on this planet you can ever hide from me expression of demonic anger. My wife's boss heard the thud of the stake on window impact and came quickly. She took in the scene, the stake sitting on the windowsill, the bloody trail, my empty plate, and then gave me an inquisitive, puzzled look. I just didn't know what to say. It felt like a minute of silence, but was probably 3 or 4 seconds. Finally, the best I could manage was, I'm so sorry. I'm such a klutz. I don't know. I was just cutting it and it slipped. Just
And
ask my
you know
wife.
what? You need to get the hell out of my house. You have to get the hell out of. I What kind of steak cutting are you doing where the knife gets stuck on that steak and you pull that hole so hard that you hit the allegedly open window behind you? Because number one, you have offended me in my steak already. How you think you know what? How you think
Okay,
like sir,
hold
do
on.
you think he was gonna tell it? Sorry. Please.
Just ask my wife. I really am a klutz, right, honey? No help coming from that direction. I will
Absolutely
clean
not.
I will
You're
clean
on
this
your
up.
own.
I will clean this up. I can't believe this. I'm so sorry, etc., etc. Both women continued to stare at me like I had escaped from the loony bin as I smeared the blood around the window with my cloth napkin, dusted off the steak,
Not a
and
cloth napkin.
continued to mutter my incoherent explanation. I knew no one was buying the story. I knew what I had to do. I sheepishly returned to my seat and proceeded to eat every bite of that disgusting, cold, chewy, bloody raw
Cold.
steak. I,
Okay, well, now I'm on your side.
I remained pretty quiet the rest of the evening. My wife's only 2 words to me since the incident are, I'm fine.
Divorce. She got the papers in the mail. She left a
one of
note in the
the
hallway.
so one of the top comments, someone said, let's say the window was open and the steak is gone. She returns a minute later. What
The
were you
hell was you gonna say happened to that steak?
exactly?
You ate a whole steak in 30 seconds. You just ate that whole steak in 30 seconds. While your
So
wife is sitting there, knife and fork,
right,
waiting for
that
her
was
boss to get back.
like the fact that his first reaction to this isn't to say, oh, this is a little undercooked, or even look at his wife's plate and be like, honey, you
Switch
want
with
to
me.
switch? You want to switch? No, he's gonna, because mind
Let me
you,
tell you something.
the boss went to to get some dessert, so he couldn't look at his
Mm-hmm.
wife in that moment and be like, honey, my steak's a little undercooked. It's too much
Mm-hmm.
for me to be able to eat. Like, is this something that you could eat? Can we switch?
Mm-hmm.
That those would have been reasonable things. But the fact that your
Right.
first thought is to see a window and think it's open and then throw the steak out there, like, what were you going to tell
Mm-hmm.
the lady happened to the steak? Is it on a bone? What were you going to tell her that happened to the
And
bone? Because you can't say
I need y'all to remember that y'all bosses are still human beings. I bet y'all boss, if y'all want to follow y'all boss out for a day of shopping, they going to Ross, they going to TJ Maxx, they going to the regular places just like you are. They ain't no better off than you for real, for real.
right.
Unless they own the company. And even if they own the company, don't kiss them people ass. Like, let them people know you have to eat. You're
Yep.
not a number. You're not, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
don't I'm not holding my tongue from nobody. If you put a plate in front of me of something that I don't like, sorry, play, I'm not eating it. If you
Mhm.
put a raw steak in front of me, if this whole still mooing on the plate and you
Mhm.
put it in front of me, absolutely not.
Right.
Karen, can All right, yeah, great. You're her boss, right? Sensational. You're not mine. Great. Put this back on the grill and stop playing with me. You trying to kill me tonight. You trying to have my stomach doing somersaults, backflips, and in the open tuck in the middle of the
Mm-hmm.
night.
Right.
Absolutely not. Put this cow back on the grill and bring me
Yeah.
a steak.
At the very least, you could have at least like tried to eat maybe not even
The
half of it and just be
outside.
like, "Oh, I'm so full, thank you so much." Eat the sides, I'm assuming if there's sides
hmm
and but
hmm
anyways, so there's actually a part 2 to this um that the wife wrote the same type of story but from her perspective.
Mm.
So she said, my husband told this today I fucked up from his perspective a couple of years ago, and it was a popular post. Someone suggested I should tell it from my perspective. So she goes, I had just gotten a brand new job that I was really excited about. So I was delighted when my boss, who I had been trying to establish a rapport with, invited me and my husband over to her home for dinner. Well, mostly delighted. My husband is, well, he's the sweetest, but he has a history of doing really dumb shit. Because of this, I was worried about him coming along. She
Not
knew.
her calling him
I know.
sweet
She
but
knew ahead of
dumb.
time.
Like she was like, he is borderline. Never mind. You know, I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say. I'm not finna get canceled before we
It's
get
the first
started.
episode. It's the first episode.
Yeah, let me chill out.
Okay. By the time the day of the dinner arrived, I had become so anxious about it that I actually floated the idea by my boss that I wasn't sure if he would be able to make it. She was clearly taken aback and responded, "Oh no, I really hope he can. I have a dinner for 3 all ready to go." Upon seeing her dismay, I assured her that I was sure he would find a way to be there. Well, we made it over to her apartment on time and things actually started out really, really well. It was actually just the three of us, which surprised me somewhat, but made me a little less concerned about my husband as crowds
Mhm.
really tend to bring out his unpredictability.
You know what? I don't mean to. I don't mean to interrupt you, Crystal. But truly, I have to bring this point because this is a common thread between these two stories, and I have to mention it now before I forget. This boss seemed kind of weird, only because they've both mentioned the fact that it is only the three of them, and the boss seems a little bit too excited for him to be there. I don't know if she been Facebook stalking this lady and she like her man or something, or she trying to have, she got a pineapple on the door. People who people who know what that is will get that, and y'all will
Mhm.
be dying laughing. Or they got a flamingo in the front yard. People who know about that, type of shit. They'll understand what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? I this don't sound. It sound like she made. You know what? Maybe he made the right move because it may have been what did Bill? Oh, I can't say his name. Uh, they used to call him Mickey's back in the day. You
Mm.
know, put you under. You know
Right,
what I'm
right,
saying?
right.
And she
Yeah, yeah,
trying to
yeah.
maybe he was saving his own life and didn't even know it
I don't know.
because me being me, I would
Mhm.
have heard, "Oh yeah, my boss is really excited for you to come to the dinner tonight." My first thought would have been, "Oh, I'm not going. Absolutely not. You're not
See,
going to be too hyped for me to come.
I think
I
it's
don't know
more of
you."
this. I think it's more along the lines of I just bought 3 really expensive steak and now one of y'all ain't showing up.
But that means two really expensive steaks for you, ma'am. Like this is a
True.
win-win situation for you. You don't have to entertain an extra person. You get more
Tr-
wine,
See,
more bread,
I would
and
be
more
excited.
expensive steak.
That's what I would be excited about. Oh,
You know
I
what I'm
don't have
saying?
to. I only have to entertain one of y'all.
Let me tell you
Great.
something. Because if I'm throwing a function and somebody saying they can't come, that that is a rose in my bush.
I am okay with that.
I am okay with it.
Okay. I'll be like, oh, that sucks. Oh, I'm so sad that he can't
Damn.
come.
Well,
Oh.
I'll put your cocktail in the refrigerator and make sure I drink it. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. I had just started to finally relax and was a couple of bites into a deliciously cooked steak when things took a horrible, horrible turn. My boss had just stepped into the kitchen to check on dessert when I noticed something odd out of the corner of my eye. It was one of those things where you know something strange is happening
I was
in your peripheral, but you're not sure what. You have to look over and focus your gaze to really comprehend it. I looked over at my husband and see him holding his steak in his hand, hovering it just an inch or two above his plate. Before I had had a chance to fully comprehend what I was seeing and verbalize something that might have saved all of us from the coming horror, he threw his steak baseball style across the room straight
Not.
into the dining room window. It hit it hit the window, making a loud noise and slowly slid down. Now, my husband does dumb shit. I already told you that. But he's not a crazy person. Usually, when he does dumb shit, I at least understand what he's thinking. There's usually some semblance of rhyme or reason to the dumb shit. In this case, I was just dumbfounded. I couldn't believe my eyes. I couldn't wrap my head around what was going on. I stared at him with what must have been the most confused look and watched as he stared back at me, an expression of utter horror painted across his face. I couldn't make any sense of what was happening, but I also didn't have time to try. I heard the footsteps of my boss coming to see what the sound was. It suddenly sunk in that it didn't matter why he did what he did. He did it, and we were all about to come face to face with a very awkward situation. I could
Mm-hmm.
I could feel the anger flush through my face. For a brief moment, I contemplated trying to help my husband get out of this, but no. This was his dumb shit bed, and he could lie in it. Not
I
like
know
there was
that's
any
right.
possible recovery, anyways. My boss walks in and sees the steak lying on the windowsill. There's the fucking longest, most awkward pause where we all just sit there frozen. My boss and I are staring at my husband, forcing the ball into his court as the cringe just hangs in the air like an ocean fog. Oh, I can just like feel how awkward this, like, I'm getting
Absolutely
secondhand
not.
awkwardness from hearing this from her perspective.
But you know what's bothering me? You know what's bothering me? The timeline of this story. Because how did he only have a chance to carve into his steak for the boss to go in the kitchen to check on dessert? Did she sit down and take one bite of the steak and was like, oh, well, I guess I need to check on dessert? Like, do you want me to go home?
I
Like, do I need
mean,
to leave immediately? Like, I will pack this steak and go home. Like, I don't need to be here.
I feel like from his perspective, when he first cut into it and he saw how rare it was, he was probably like fiddling and finding all the different ways on how he could not eat the steak while they were
Eating
actually
all the
eating.
sides and everything else.
Yeah. And then
Okay.
while, if she's making dessert, if she's like baking something, then yeah, at some point you're probably gonna have to want to go and check in real quick to make sure everything's,
Hmm.
nothing's burning down. So I can see where the timeline is going.
And I'm like, why would you make steak? Like, if you inviting somebody, steak is for me.
Hmm.
Steak is the last thing I'm making if somebody come over my house. Like, because it's
That's
too time sensitive. You know what I'm saying?
that's the first thing my mom's making. She loves steak. That is her go-to.
I can't entertain nobody if I'm making steak. Like, y'all finna be in another room and I'm finna be in here making steak. You know what I'm
Yeah, yeah,
saying?
yeah, true.
Like, I have to have something that's already in the oven or already on the stove, something that's cooking for hours,
Yeah.
or something that's really quick
Yeah.
that I'm making for me to actually be able to entertain and cook at the same time. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
I mean, no, cuz I don't cook, but yeah.
Well, you was here. You was
I get
here.
what you were saying. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
and
get what you're
and
saying.
you know what I'm saying. Our meals, I feel like we're pretty quick ones, or
Mhm.
ones that just I just put in the oven, and then it
Yeah.
wasn't nothing that I had to labor over, so I was gone for a long
Yeah.
time.
Cuz
You
when you're
know,
entertaining, you want to have conversation and all that stuff. You
you
don't want
you
to
know
just
what
be in
I'm
the kitchen.
saying. You want to entertain. You
Yep.
know,
He finally manages to mutter some incoherent garbage about being a klutz and even tries to get me to back him up. I leave his ass out to dry in the deafening
I know that's
silence.
right.
He makes a poor
I
attempt at cleaning the window and retrieves his steak. Mercifully, my boss asks me a question about work and we both dive eagerly into the conversation. We all assume the rest of the evening pretending that he isn't there. Oh, we all resume, sorry. The rest of the evening pretending that he isn't there. A sort of unspoken agreement by all that this is the only way to move forward. As soon as we got to the car, my husband turned into a nervous chatterbox trying to explain himself. Turns out the dumbass didn't like the way his steak was cooked, rare. And get this, he thought the window was open. My husband, ladies and gentlemen, tried to chuck his steak out a 3-story window. He thought that was a reasonable solution to being served an undercooked steak. A year or so later, my boss hosted a Christmas party for the company in her newly built home. My best friend Jenny was my plus one.
You know what?
Someone said, I can't wait to hear from the boss's perspective in a few years. And someone else wrote, I can't wait to hear from the steak's perspective.
The stakes, you know what? It would have been on his way to the window. That's ridiculous.
I
That's
need
ridiculous.
someone, I
It's
need,
ridiculous on everyone's part. Number one, boss, why are you making steak? Number two, you know what? The only person that's innocent in this is the wife.
that's
She's
true.
the only. She's the only
The
one who
poor
did
wife.
everything right.
But you know what? No, I wouldn't say that because she knew her husband. She did try to get him out of the situation. Maybe she should have stuck with that original thought
Of not getting him out the
of not
situation.
of no of not having him there. Of
Eh,
been like, yeah, I'm so sorry, but he has his own work thing, so
Listen, because that's really my sticking point. Why is it you the husband and your boss, like, and why are you having dinner at the boss's house like that? To me, I would never. I'm not
right,
going to my boss's house to have no dinner. Like, I could see you and your husband meeting her out somewhere.
right,
You know what
right,
I'm saying?
yeah,
Trying to court her for a promotion or something.
right,
But I'm not going to your house.
yeah. I
That's
mean,
weird.
that's how they did it back in the day, I guess. I don't know.
Ain't all right. Well,
But I will say, when I read this story, like I really need someone because this reminded me of a for anyone who's our age, who's getting up there in age.
yeah, y'all.
If
Yeah,
you've seen
that's crazy.
if you've seen Mr. Bean when we were little, if you've seen the Mr. Bean show, I, that's a perfect example of a sketch
I,
that no no Mr. Bean for
I,
you.
mm-mm.
How sad
I
are
didn't
you?
even see Pee Wee Herman. I don't. I've
I
never
you know
seen
what
none of
I
that.
really didn't see Pee Wee Herman either, but I did see we used to
Mm.
watch Mr. Bean a lot um with my nana and grandma when we would go out to Massachusetts, and uh it's it's more of a silent comedy. Like he doesn't speak in almost all the
Mm.
episodes. So all the comedy is physical. And this is one of those situations where I feel like it would have been a good sketch. I need someone to do like a cartoon of it or something like that.
Is Mr. Bean still alive?
Yes.
Is
Yes,
he?
I think his name is Rowan Atkins or something like that. But yeah, he's still alive.
What? How old is he? Let
Mhm.
me see. He's only 68.
Yeah.
What?
Mhm.
I thought them. I thought. Okay, maybe I'm embarrassing myself, but I thought Mr. Bean was like from the 60s. But it can't be because he's only 68. And then, okay, you know what? We're not gonna do the math live because I'm embarrassed myself. But if he's 68, that means he was born in the 50s. So there's no way. When the hell was Mr. Bean out?
I mean, I was a kid in the 90s, so
Damn, I was born in the 90s.
I mean, I was born in the 90s, but whatever. Whatever.